Welcome to Where Her Heart Speaks, a show designed to challenge and disrupt ineffective thoughts and behaviors to help you not only embody peace, joy, calm, and certainty, but also to help you live the life you've always dreamed of living. Where Her Heart Speaks with Coach Catherine begins now.
Hi there, it's Coach Catherine. Do you struggle to stay in touch with your true, authentic self? Or are you often overwhelmed with trauma responses? It's time to face the facts. The fight or flight response is real, and it has a huge impact on your life. And this is why I've created an easy assessment to help you understand the state of your nervous system. Is it keeping you safe? Is it keeping you stuck, or is it allowing you to be your authentic self and thrive? Listen, if you're interested in learning more about your nervous system and how to experience maybe more peace and calm in your life, you don't want to wait any longer. I'd invite you to visit my website at www.catherinejames.com and take the assessment on the front page. You owe it to yourself to find out the truth. Welcome and welcome back. I'm Catherine James, international speaker, best-selling author, trauma-informed coach, and your host for this show, Where Her Heart Speaks. In the late 70s and early 80s, I remember watching a commercial that had what I will now say was the most, or one of the most, captivating jingles of all time. If you are anywhere close to my age, you will certainly recognize the words. I can put the wash on the line, feed the kids, get dressed, give out kisses, and get to work by 5 of 9, 'cause I'm a woman, Anjali. My favorite part said, I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never, never let you forget that you're a man, 'cause I'm a woman, Anjali. According to the commercial, Anjali was the 8-hour perfume for your 24-hour woman, and I quote that, insinuating that women are to do it all and never stop. Among other things, subliminal messages such as these have shaped many of today's women. And although that commercial was nearly 50 years ago, many women continue to do laundry, cook breakfast, make lunches, get dressed, give out kisses, drop off children, give out kisses, and get to work by 7. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Right? I'm tired. One would hope that with time, things would get better. But it seems that with time, how women move and how they operate have actually gotten worse. I want to talk to you today about the Superwoman Syndrome. When I was in graduate school and conducting my research for my capstone project, which was focused on the intersectionality of adverse childhood experiences, the strong Black woman schema, and Alzheimer's disease, I discovered many empirical articles referencing the Superwoman Syndrome. The Superwoman Syndrome refers to the societal pressures placed on women. The societal pressures placed on women to wear multiple hats simultaneously and excel in every area. Just think about that Anjali commercial. The woman is joyfully cleaning, cooking, working, taking care of her spouse, taking care of her children. The Superwoman Syndrome It says women have to be successful professionals, perfect mothers, successful partners, caring friends, great daughters, board members, and on it goes. And the Superwoman Syndrome is causing women to experience feelings of overwhelm, burnout, and ongoing dissatisfaction in their lives due to this constant struggle to meet these unrealistic expectations. Now, if you've been here before, you know that I'm not just going to talk about an issue without also providing you with methods to improve. But before we go into that, I want to take a look at how we as women may have gotten to this place. And I say we because I too have struggled. I too have struggled with Superwoman Syndrome. Back in my overachieving days, I had taken what I didn't know at the time was going to be a break from my corporate job to run my own business. And I remember after several months, it occurred to me that I was operating in the same manner I did when I was going to work every day. Like I continued waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I continued working until late in the evening, believing that long hours was necessary for business owners, believing that if I was going to prove my worth, I had to work hard. I had to work long. And at some point during this time period, I thought, how ridiculous. How ridiculous is it for me to keep getting up at 5 o'clock every morning and working sometimes 12 and 14 hours? How ridiculous was that? So I decided to sleep in one day a week. One day a week. I was going to sleep in one day a week. That was going to break my cycle. And the day that I chose was Thursdays. So Thursdays was my day to sleep in. And let me just tell you that every Thursday, I had to force myself to stay in the bed. And as I was forcing myself to stay in the bed, I would lay there. I would lay there feeling like a failure. I would lay there feeling guilty and unproductive. Why didn't I know how to, or why didn't I feel worthy of resting? And I'm just going to say, as a Black woman, much of this thinking and behavior was transferred from prior generations. So it was a generational thing. I grew up hearing things like, you have to work twice as hard. You have to be twice as good. I heard you have to work faster. You have to work longer. Like these messages were ingrained in me. And so I didn't know anything else to do but work hard, work long. I didn't know what it meant to sleep beyond or after 5 a.m. And being a woman in the corporate arena or the corporate sector, I knew there was absolutely no room or allotment for taking it easy or slacking off. Like there was absolutely no room. I felt like someone was always watching and waiting for me to slip up. Someone was always watching and waiting for me to slack off. There was no room for that. That was ingrained in me. As we look at the Superwoman Syndrome, we have to understand that historically, women have been expected to fulfill traditional gender roles. Historically, that's been the expectation. Women were expected to be the primary caregivers and the primary homemakers. And they were. They were those things until they entered the workforce. As women entered the workforce and had the ability to seek higher education and advance in their careers, those prior expectations of being primary caregivers and being the primary homemaker remained in place. In women, instead of challenging the newness in their lives, challenging the old norms of their lives based on the newness of their lives, accepted it. They accepted it. And so unfortunately, the new opportunities only increased our responsibilities, creating pressures to excel both professionally and personally. In exploring the Superwoman Syndrome, we cannot stop at the historical significance, but we must also consider cultural and societal significances. Culturally, including the corporate culture, media and societal narratives often portray women as these superhuman beings who are capable of effortlessly juggling and keeping multiple balls in the air. The image of the damsel in distress is frowned upon, while the superhero or the multitasking, got it all together strong woman is rewarded and celebrated. And I say rewarded as I say that. I'm like, I'm not quite sure how, but there is this perception that there's a reward attached to this. There's this perception that she's celebrated. And I just want to say that these portrayals can create, and what I would actually say have created, unrealistic expectations within women. And they have contributed to the Superwoman Syndrome. Yeah, these expectations. I talk to and work with women every day. And what I see is this need for women to prove their worth by pushing themselves to be superb in every area of their lives. They're working hard, they're staying up late, they're going in early, they're trying to juggle all these balls. And many women secretly fear that falling short in any one area would mean they are somehow incapable or less than. I don't know. I just ponder or pause for a moment and I wonder, less than what's the comparison? What are you comparing yourself to? We begin to confuse our performance with our person. The unconscious or unaware thought is how we perform determines who we are. I get that? How we perform actually determines who we are. The Superwoman Syndrome is also perpetuated by societal norms. There are expectations that prioritize productivity, achievement, and perfectionism. And in my experience, women striving to prove themselves in order to gain recognition, validation, and acceptance easily fall into this category of Superwoman Syndrome. This conversation today is about awareness and challenging behaviors that no longer serve us. challenging behaviors that no longer serve us. Now, don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with excelling and striving for more if you find fulfillment in it. If your soul is being fulfilled, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are simply filling and maintaining a role for the sake of gaining recognition, validation, or acceptance, if you are simply filling a role to avoid ridicule or judgment, it may be time to challenge and redefine these expectations. Societal pressures and expectations can have detrimental effects on women's well-being. And I cannot tell you the number of conversations I have with women who are creating stress in their own lives because they fear not living up to the definition that history, that culture, and society has given them. Superwomen don't win. We must understand that it is impossible to perfectly balance every aspect of life. We must give ourselves permission to fail, and we must hold ourselves with grace and compassion when we do. And I can just hear somebody saying, I can do it. I got this. I can hear you. And if you're in my perfectionist clan, you're not only saying I can do it and I got this, your skin is actually crawling. And you might be thinking, I'm a little crazy. And I get it. I have been in your shoes. I have been a part of the perfectionist clan. But as a recovering perfectionist, I will tell you, it is far easier to hold yourself with grace and compassion than to remain rigid and stressed. The Superwoman Syndrome can have a significant impact on your mental health, like your physical health and your mental health. Like attempting to meet the high expectations can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, worry, and overwhelm. And if you have been with me any amount of time or heard some of the prior episodes, you know that the autonomic nervous system doesn't just impact your mental health, but it also impacts your physical health. When the autonomic nervous system is dysregulated, we have things like high blood pressure, diabetes. There are health issues, disease that is developed in our bodies. So without adequate self-care and rest, you can experience burnout and exhaustion. There was an article by MD Edge, and in that article, it showed that women are more than twice as likely as men to use antidepressants. Another study showed by the CDC showed the use of antidepressants increase with age. Women between the ages of 18 and 39, 1 in 10 of them took antidepressants. But women between the ages of 40 and 59, 1 in 5 of them were on antidepressants. And then for those women who were over 60, the number still increased. 1 in 4 of them were taking antidepressants. Now, I don't believe this is solely the fault of women. In my experience, medication is the first go-to as a means of resolve to help people cope. Now, I remember last year I contacted a therapist because I felt like I was overparenting my adult child. And I wanted support to kind of change some of my behaviors, to begin to release patterns that were no longer serving me, began to overcome some of my trauma responses. And despite me saying, informing her that I am a trauma informed coach who has done extensive study on the autonomic nervous system and who is not a fan of diagnoses or medications. I think or realize that there's a place for everything, but I don't believe in the one-stop shop model or the one-size-fits-all model when it comes to mental health or in this regard. So I made that clear, but despite my prefaces, I was still told that I may benefit from medication to just kind of relax a bit. And I was blown away. So what I realized is that out of sheer desperation for many, women are simply following what's being ordered. Like they're desperate for change. And if they are being told that medication is going to bring about change, they accept that. But what I've come to understand is that what is being ordered is not addressing the root cause of the problem. The Superwoman Syndrome can produce overwhelming responsibilities. Some of these were mentioned a little earlier. Being a professional, a mom, a wife, or a partner, or a caregiver, and more. Overwhelming responsibilities. And one thing that I've been thinking about quite a bit lately that's included in these responsibilities is the managing, or shall I say the holding, of our spouse's emotions. Far too many women, and myself included, to the best of their ability, take it upon themselves to ensure the emotional well-being of their mates, to ensure that the emotional well-being of their mate is intact. That is a heavy ball to carry, and it's pretty unrealistic. But again, like I said, myself included, we tend to carry that ball and hold that ball as if it were our own. Now, in addition to these overwhelming responsibilities, the Superwoman Syndrome, again, it causes guilt and self-imposed pressure. Like I said, when I was not working, for me to lay in bed on Thursdays, I felt guilty. I felt like I was cheating someone. I was robbing someone. So it creates this self-imposed pressure, and it can negatively impact our personal relationships because we're juggling multiple balls. And as we're juggling those multiple balls, it actually interferes with the time, the quality time that we could be spending with our partners, the quality time that we could be spending with our children or our friends. When we deal with this Superwoman Syndrome, you can begin to feel inadequate. You can begin to have self-doubt, as well as have a negative self-image of yourself. And I just, as I think about this, I'm thinking it's no wonder why more and more women are turning to antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds. The expectation is unrealistic, and it is not sustainable. And I believe because we have come to a place where we simply accept what has been given to us, what society has said we are to be. We step into and play this role of superwoman like it's the thing to do. And I am here to challenge that. I'm here to challenge that. This, I know, is a hard pill to swallow, no pun intended. But if women are going to win in life, and I mean really win, they must learn to take off their capes. We've got to take off these capes. I watched an interview of actress Felicia Rashad. And I remember during that interview, she shared an ancient Indian scripture, which said that women are the foundation of the world. And where the women go, the culture goes. The Superwoman Syndrome was birthed out of and is rooted in patriarchal thinking. And I'm going to say that again. The Superwoman Syndrome was birthed out of and rooted in patriarchal thinking. We are living in times that I could not have imagined I would see as a child. There is so much disruption in our country, so much disruption across the world. And more, it feels as though society as a whole is lacking in empathy, lacking in compassion, lacking in understanding. It's like people are forgetting or have forgotten what it means to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Does the golden rule even exist anymore? I really can't tell. When I was in elementary school, we had to recite that every single morning, creating values. And I know that over the years, this has changed a bit where it now is recited as not do unto others as you would have them do unto you, but do unto others as they would desire you do unto them. I get that it's changed. And even in that, though, it's still considering the other person. There's still an aspect of understanding. There's still an aspect of empathy. There's still an aspect of compassion in that version. And I'm just wondering, where is it going in society? I had an appointment today, and in the doctor's office, there was a guy there who was assisting another guy who appeared to be a bit older and maybe less able-bodied than the other guy. And they were crossing the street. And while crossing the street, the older appearing guy, who also was carrying or walking with a cane, was lagging behind. The other guy turned to him and said, in this nasty tone, "Hurry up. And that's what you get for wearing shoes that aren't good for walking." And I thought, where is the compassion? My sister shared about how she spoke to someone on the phone, and the woman was very rude. She was trying to conduct business with this lady, and the lady was just nasty. And my sister was saying, is that what the world is coming to? Anybody can get a job? Who was monitoring her? Who said it was okay to behave that way on your job? Where is the understanding? My friend found herself enraged while trying to resolve a discrepancy on one of her bills. The person whom she was speaking with was not very helpful. Where is the compassion? Where the women go, the culture goes. Keeping all of the balls in the air is exhausting. I will say, ask me how I know. It's rare that I talk about things that I have not lived. Keeping the balls in the air is exhausting. And I want to say to you that even superheroes take their capes off. Wonder Woman returns to Diana Prince. Superman returns to Clark Kent. Spider-Man returns to Peter Parker. Yeah. How do superwomen take their capes off? First and foremost, you'll want to redefine success. Challenge the idea that success is solely defined by external achievements and societal expectations. Challenge that idea. Define success on your own terms based upon your own values, based on your passions and those things that feels good to you, those things that feels true to you. As you make the shift, set realistic goals and celebrate the small victories along the way in an effort to prevent yourself from returning to your old shaping. What gets celebrated gets repeated. Be sure to celebrate the small wins all along the way. And then ask yourself, how can you step into the truth? How can you step into the truth and the understanding that everything is happening for you as opposed to happening to you? Walking away from a safe, secure job wherein I was earning well over 6 figures into a world of entrepreneurship that is full of uncertainty. When things start to feel hard, my nervous system wants to run back to safety. But fortunately, I spend more time in my regulated nervous system than I do in my dysregulated nervous system. So I'm able to focus on the truth. I'm able to remind myself that everything is happening for me. Even when it doesn't look like it, even when it doesn't feel like it, the truth is everything is happening for you. What can you do to remind yourself that everything is happening for you? Taking off your cape will also require you to train people how to treat the new you. Everyone will expect you to perform as you did in the past. So it's up to you to simply let them know what you can and cannot or will and will not do. In other words, set boundaries and ensure they are adhered to. Lastly, taking off your cape means you are going to have to get selfish. Now, I know women, little girls were told it's not polite to be selfish. We have to put others before us. We have to think about others. We have to put ourselves on the back burner. The Superwoman Syndrome fuels that It neglects self-care. And again, this leads to burnout as well as a diminished well-being. So things like exercising, relaxation techniques, such as breath work, journaling, or spending time in nature. Things like seeking support from others are things that we will have to begin to do in order to take our capes off. None of this is selfish. It is essential for your overall happiness and effectiveness in all areas of your life. As my mentor says, you've got to serve from your saucer. No matter where you are on your journey, whether you identify with the characteristics of the Superwoman, whether you've already released historical, cultural, or societal conditioning, or you're saying, none of this applies to me, I want to encourage you to practice self-compassion. Be gentle, be kind, and be understanding to yourself. I want to encourage you to practice self-acceptance. If you don't accept yourself, you cannot expect anyone else to accept you. Know that you are a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, and what others think of you is none of your business. How others view you is not your problem. While watching Felicia Rashad's interview, her response to a question was, I'm not responsible for other people's eyesight or lack of it. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And I say to you, know that you are a precious jewel who does not neither increase nor decrease based upon systemic conditioning. I want to encourage you to take a balanced approach to success. Delegate when you can and seek support where needed. Professional help from coaches, therapists, or counselors can be beneficial, and it can help with challenges related to the Superwoman Syndrome. So if you need support, seek support. If this message has resonated with you and you'd like support sooner rather than later with taking off your cape, go to www.calendly.com/Coach Catherine to schedule a free clarity call. This call is an actual 30-minute coaching session. So I want to say, if you're serious, by the end of the call, you will have more clarity and more certainty. More clarity about your next and more certainty in your body. Superwomen don't win. The Superwoman Syndrome can ultimately take a toll on your mental health. The Superwoman Syndrome can ultimately take a toll on your physical health, your relationships, and your overall performance. My prayer for you this week is that you will release historical, cultural, and societal shaping, as well as conditioning. I pray that you will embrace your true Superwoman, the one who was created in the image of the Most High, the one who is uniquely and wonderfully made, the one who is capable of all things. I pray that you will come to know and do that which is soul fulfilling versus soul killing. I pray that you will commit to you. And as I close, I want to remind you that in this life, we get to choose. So choose to listen to the place from where your heart speaks and choose to live a sensational life. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for listening to Where Her Heart Speaks with Coach Catherine, where Catherine aims to challenge and disrupt ineffective thoughts and behaviors to help you not only embody peace, joy, calm, and certainty, but also help you live the life you've always dreamed of living. Follow Catherine on Facebook and Instagram at I Am Catherine James and visit www.catherinejames.com. Remember, to live the life of your dreams, you must go within and return to the place where your heart speaks.